Someone actually breaking into my house when I was 11 years old. So I was
Wow.
home alone. Mom had left for the day. Someone knocks on the door. I don't answer. He comes around to the back and ends up breaking a window. I don't know what to do. I grab a steak knife out of the knife block and I hide under my bed. The lack of autonomy I felt in that situation and the lack of the ability to be able to express myself or feel free, or just the way I felt like my freedom was being taken away from me was instrumental in just it's flipped a switch in my brain.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Scale Smart, Grow Fast podcast. Today, we have special guest Nate Palmer, and he's going to share some incredible tips that you will not want to miss. Now, you all know your energy, clarity, and performance don't just come from mindset. They start with your metabolism. In this episode, Nate Palmer, best-selling author of The $1 Million Body Method and coach to high-performing entrepreneurs, shares how strategic eating and training can dramatically boost your productivity, fat loss, and leadership capacity. With 15 plus years of experience helping busy business owners get in peak shape without tracking every calorie, Nate's going to reveal how to use your body as a force multiplier for your business and life. Nate, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great. That was an amazing intro. Thank you.
Of course. Maybe you can share a little bit more about your personal background and kind of what's led you to this journey to help entrepreneurs with their health and fitness.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate that. So I feel like my journey with health and fitness is there's two key aspects to it. Number one was what got me into fitness in the first place, which was someone actually breaking into my house when I was 11 years old. So I was home alone. Mom had left for the day. Someone knocks on the door. I don't answer. He comes around to the back and ends up breaking a window. I don't know what to do. I grab a steak knife out of the knife block and I hide under my bed. And I have a little rinky dink lock on my door. And I hear this guy in his heavy work boots coming down my wood hallway. And just I can still remember the sound that he's making. And he pounds on my bedroom door. And I'm like, this is it. This is where I die. I didn't die. It's kind of a spoiler alert. I'm fine. And I wouldn't be able to say it as an 11-year-old, the lack of autonomy I felt in that situation and the lack of the ability to be able to express myself or feel free, or just the way I felt like my freedom was being taken away from me was instrumental in just it's flipped a switch in my brain where I was like, if I'm bigger and stronger and I have a beard and tattoos, no one's ever going to mess with me again. And that kind of spurred this journey of fitness, which I think a lot of people resonate with, of running away from something that is unpleasant. So whether it's having issues with your body or feeling like you're not enough or you're too much or whatever else, I think we've all can relate in some capacity to feeling like I have to get away from this negative feeling. And that was what propelled me into the gym to start off with. So I've been working out basically since I was 15, a little over 2 decades now. It was great because it allowed me to not just build bigger muscles and everything else, but it allowed me to see what I was capable of given enough time and focus on a single outcome. So I think that in a lot of ways, being in the gym has made me a better entrepreneur because I really understand and I believe the mantra that I say to all my clients, that you literally cannot lose at this if you don't quit. And that is 100% true with your body. And I believe that to be 100% true with your business as well. And I think most entrepreneurs understand that intrinsically with their business. It's a pivot, figure it out. I don't know how to do this. I'm going to hire this person to get this done, and always kind of reiterating and reinventing themselves. But we don't apply that same logic to our bodies. We think, well, it didn't work this one time, or I've never been the type of person who can X. And we kind of give up on ourselves in that way. And my encouragement to entrepreneurs and people who are in that vein is it's the same exact thing. It's those little tiny brass BBs instead of just a single silver bullet, and anyone who's hired business coaches who have overpromised and underdelivered understands what I mean. There's no one coach or one system or ClickFunnels that is going to propel your business to this gargantuan level. It's a series of little decisions and little activities you're doing on a daily basis. And it's the exact same with your health.
Yeah, I love it. I love that mindset. And so speaking of that, you work with thousands of busy entrepreneurs. What's the biggest misconception they have about fitness and performance?
Most of the times, the people that I talk to believe that it's kind of it's a give and take. If I work on my fitness, I have to give up energy in my business. This is going to take a lot from me. And the thing that I'm always trying to help people understand is that working on your fitness, being diligent about your nutrition, having a good mindset, a recovery protocol, sleeping well enough at night, all of these things will lend themselves to being a better business owner, having more energy, more enthusiasm, more intensity around what you're currently doing, what you love to do. Because I get it. Most people don't love to go to the gym and work out and figure out where those weights go and how much weight they should be using. And does my form even look good on these? But those sorts of things give you energy towards the things that you are passionate about being a business owner, about being a father, about being intentional in relationships. And you can't do any of those things at a high level, I believe, if you don't have energy, first of all, And if you don't feel
Yeah.
good in your body and have confidence in who you are.
And you mentioned the nutrition. Like, how can a high performance breakfast directly impact business results and energy throughout the day? I've seen great content you put out online. You've got all these informational reels and tips, and it's really inspiring. So I would encourage everyone out there, if you're not already following Nate, check him out on Instagram. He's got amazing information there. So, one of the things you talked about was like having breakfast and how important that is.
Yeah. So I've done a lot of different nutrition protocols over the years. I was kind of being in gyms and talking to a lot of people. But what I've found is that for a long time, I thought that like the standard like bodybuilding style of eating was kind of the optimal one. And we've all heard 6 meals per day to stoke your metabolic furnace, right? Like, so I've cut open a cadaver. I looked for the furnace, couldn't find it. It doesn't exist in the human body. That's not a thing. And so what I started to do is started to play around with some nutritional principles because I found myself, I remember I was like 2015, I'm working in a gym in Seattle and it's an amazing gym. They have 150 trainers. Crazy. The gym is like, it's got 2 different basketball courts. It's got an auto spa. It's got a medical spa. It's got physical therapy. It's got 17 different pools. It's an amazing place. And I loved working there. They really treated their employees well, their clients well. Fantastic. But I was getting there at 6 a.m. and then I wasn't leaving until 7 or 8 at night. And my like trainers usually have like what I call like the trainer donut. It's like you work from like 6 till like 10. And then like you work from like 2 till 6 or whatever. You got that window in the middle of the day. My afternoon sessions were low, dude. I was struggling. I had low energy. And I think a lot of people can relate to this is like you come back after lunch and you're like, and then you look at your to-do list, because I feel like that's when we kind of bang our to-do list. And you take stuff that should take you an hour and you smash it into 3 hours and you're just not efficient with it, right? And so I think we've all been there. So I was contacted by this magazine, this online publication called Breaking Muscle. And they were like, hey, can you write an article for us? Because I was writing a lot of articles at the time. And they wanted to know if I could write an article for them about nutrition that was not specifically focused on like how to eat to gain muscle or how to eat to lose fat. But they were like, can you write an article about nutrition and how we can eat for all day energy? I was like, okay, that's super interesting. Yeah. So I went down this rabbit hole. I was doing all this research, looking at stuff. And previously what I've been doing is I tried the 6 meals per day. And then I was just coming off an intermittent fasting. So, 16 hours of fasting followed by a lunch and then a dinner, kind of an 8-hour eating window. And I just found that after lunch, I was just getting tired, feeling like low energy, didn't have like the mental focus I needed or wanted. So I started actually trying this nutritional type that I've called like a carb backloading or glycogen priming, or what I now call energy first fat loss. And so I started implementing this in my life, like as I was writing the article, and then I had a couple of clients start implementing it in their lives. And what was crazy to me was that by eating for energy, by focusing first on how do I have as much energy as possible during the day, my weight came off. I've gotten the best shape of my life without really changing a whole lot besides this little small tweak. My clients started dropping fat fast. They started telling me they're feeling amazing in the afternoon and they were sleeping great at night. And then people started getting good results. And I was like, okay, like this is more than just like a fad nutritional protocol. This is something that could actually change people's lives, especially if someone is already in the place of their life where they need more energy. I'm talking about people who are basically like eat what they kill, right? Real estate agents, people who are sales based or making commissions, people who need to go out and have conversations, who go to client dinners, who need to be on all the time, even podcast hosts, speakers, authors, people who just need to have that additional level of mental fortitude to get through the day. It's really long answer for your question about breakfast. But what I found was that skipping breakfast isn't the best option. And also having kind of a typical oats and eggs and banana breakfast is not the best option. And this is going to surprise you, but having a bunch of sugary cereal and a bagel, also not the best breakfast option. I know, it's kind of blew my mind. So what I found was that having breakfast every morning, but having the right type of breakfast was more important and gave people better results long-term. Because if you focus in on having a protein and a fat, really just focus on that, super super simple. And for me, I do what's called the MDB, the $1 Million Body Shake. I take 2 scoops of the whey protein powder, which is I do either a tablespoon of peanut butter or a couple scoops of the PB2, the low fat peanut butter, some ice, a little bit of milk or almond milk, some salt, vitamin D drops, a little bit of creatine. It gives me this really calm, sustained energy all day. And the biological reason for that is because rather than when you have an oats or even just a banana, you grab that out of the way of the door, you have a bagel or something like that, that's high carb. What it does is it spikes your blood sugar. And then as your blood sugar comes down, that's when we get that dip and we're like, oh, I'm a little tired. And what do we do at 10 a.m.? I'll just grab something quick to eat. right? And that's not your fault. That's your body sending a signal. It's like, hey, our blood sugar is low. We need to get some blood sugar. So rather than having 6 blueberries, we go have half of a donut in the break room if we're being, conscientious. And then like our blood sugar spikes back up and then drops. And so all day long, we're battling this blood sugar roller coaster. Having a protein and a fat in the morning smooths that out. It's like rather if you're going on a flight and you're having all that turbulence, you're up and down, up and down, up and down. It's really unpleasant. But if you can just have a nice smooth flight, that's what your energy is like. And that's what we want it to be in order for you to have a successful afternoon, right? So we're only talking about energy here. We're talking about blood sugar. We're talking about metabolism. But the cool thing is that your body always preferentially burns the carbohydrates you previously ate. So carbohydrates are your body's preferred source of energy. We love using fruit as fuel. We love using bread as fuel. So I used to work at Albertsons. I was a bag boy. So I was also in charge of stocking like the milk and stuff like that. And so they always had like a philosophy where it was like, you don't stock the milk from the front and keep pushing milk back. You always go around to the back and stock the newest milk in the back so they pull the oldest milk out. And that's what we're trying to get to with our bodies. We're trying to get our bodies to start pulling from our fat stores to use that for energy rather than reaching into our bloodstream for the sugars we just consumed, the glucose, which is a normal part of life, and using that for energy, which is always what it's going to do first because that's the easiest thing for your body, the lowest energy way for your body to create more energy and fuel. So that is a crazy long answer for what you asked. Was that tracking?
No, that was great. And I love the real specifics on what exactly people can do to eat and have that maintenance of that calm level of energy throughout the day. So in addition to the routine of having the right nutrition starting out, what are other must-haves in a morning routine that you recommend to make sure people can show up with focus and that stamina and clarity throughout their day?
There's a million morning routines out there. And I think that a lot of times entrepreneurs, especially if you're like a busy parent, you got 3 kids or whatever at home and you're like, of all these things, you look at this 22-year-old fitness influencer's routine and he's like, all right, wake up. Now get in the sauna for 40 minutes. Now do your gratitude. Now you do your journaling. Now do a strength training workout. Now hit yoga. Now let's do a cold plunge. And you're like, bro, it is noon. Like, when are we going to get to work? When did you take the kids to school? What did you do when your kid threw an entire thing of oatmeal on the floor? So they're just not sustainable, not feasible for a lot of us. So I've tried to condense this down into like something you can do in under 10 minutes. And for me, like I'm always playing with this stuff. There's this Bruce Lee quote. I'm sure you've heard it, but it's so apt and it's so important, especially when it comes to a morning routine, because I do believe you need one. Because I think that like the 2 things that your morning routine needs to do, no matter what you're doing, who you are, what you want, I think 2 things it needs to do is number one, it needs to eliminate decision fatigue. So you need to have it scripted out. You don't need to know what's going on in the first hour of your day. Because if you get up and you're like, what am I going to do now? What am I going to, should I shower? Right. You don't need to be making dumb decisions like that early. That's why all my shirts are black. I just wear a black shirt every day. It's fine. The second thing your morning routine needs to do is needs to cast a vote for the type of human you're becoming. You want to be a better parent? Listen to a parenting podcast. You want to be a better spouse? Read a book about being in relationships. If you want to be more fit, have something fitness focused. It needs to be reinforcing who you're becoming because the identity piece of the puzzle here is so like underutilized and under talked about when it comes to actual behavior change, right? Everyone can do a workout program. Anyone can do a cleanse, but it's hard to change your identity. And that's what we need to do if we want results long-term. So you can take those 2 pieces now and you can smush those together and actually create a morning routine that works. And for me, what I like to do is wake up in the morning, have a big glass of water, then do 1 minute. I've actually expanded this to 6 minutes. I don't know why it works for me, but I do 6 minutes of explosive exercise. So I get on the assault bike and I just go back and forth and I'm just like burning some calories. I get about 2 miles in 6 minutes, burn 50 calories, but between the water and the jumping jacks or the cardio or whatever you're doing for that minute, your body wakes up. You start your metabolism up. You start moving and it wakes you up way more than getting up and pounding a cup of coffee first thing in the morning. Then after that, what I like to do is do something gratitude focused. And I'm not in my journal like writing out like, dear diary, today was a good day. So for me, gratitude comes relationally. And that might be you, that might not be. But the way I've found this to be very impactful for my life is I try to write a note to someone who means a lot to me and just tell them. And I think that a lot of times, Harley, like we get these gut reactions and we just suppress them. Whether it's like, hey, you should pay for that person at the restaurant. You're like, no, that would be weird. What would they think? I don't know. And we just talk ourselves out of it. And we start hearing that gut reaction, which is really, really important. So I feel like when people come to your mind, you're like, man, I'm just thinking about Harley today. Or like, I'm just thinking about my buddy Greg. Text that person. Reach out to that person. They're on your mind for a reason, whether you want to call it God or the universe or what. Something is compelling you to reach out and be specific. And Harley, it is crazy amount of times I've reached out to people and they're like, I was just thinking about you, or I was having a really bad day. And you go, hey man, just thinking about you. I just think you're awesome and I love you and I hope you have an amazing day. And like, the amount of time that takes to do is negligible, and the amount of benefit and enthusiasm and energy it brings into their life and your life is incredible. One of the most high ROI activities you could possibly do. So especially like you're married, you're in a relationship, you have kids, like there's a source of like gratitude you can have every single day. Like for a while I was trying to write my wife a note in the morning, just on a sticky note, one sentence, leave it on the fridge. Like, and then like she didn't say anything for a couple weeks. And I was just gonna let it go. And then one day she was like, "Hey, I don't know if I've told you yet, but these notes are making my day so good." And I was like, "That's real. I mean, that's really good to hear. I'm a words of affirmation kind of guy." So like, you just don't know until you kind of give that gratitude, put that out in the universe, how much that is going to mean to someone else.
Every day, your top performers are buried under emails, scheduling, and reporting. Work that doesn't move the needle. The result: frustration, burnout, and worst of all, lost revenue. That's why we created the Executive's Guide to Scaling High Performers, a simple, battle-tested framework to eliminate busy work and unlock your team's full potential. Inside, you'll get the exact steps top executives use to retain A players, boost productivity, and free up their team for high-impact work. Stop losing revenue. Go to workergenics.com/growthhub or check the episode notes to download the Executive's Guide to Scaling High Performers now. Yeah, I love that. It's like exercising that muscle of your connection to the, universal intelligence, some people call it, right? It's just connecting everyone together, and I love hearing that.
In my opinion, like my gut is kind of God talking to me. And like, I feel like, as a believer, like God told me to do something. I don't want to be the type of guy who's like, no, it's weird. I don't think, and talk myself out of it. It's really easy to rationalize. For the other day, we were at a restaurant and I was like, for whatever reason, I just saw this older couple in the corner eating, they're sharing a plate. And I was like, you should pay for their dinner. And I was like, no, like, is that emasculating? I don't want to go inside and do it. And I was like, no, if you thought about it, you have to go do it now. So I went inside, paid for the dinner. And I'm not trying to say this to brag, but like they came over afterwards and they tried to pay and they like, the lady was like, oh no, someone already took care of it. And they came over to our table and they were like, did you guys pay for our dinner? I was like, yeah, we did. And they were like, that means the world to us. It is our 60th anniversary and also the anniversary of our daughter's death. This is like, it is a very emotional time for us. Like that was like the kindest thing you possibly could have done. And it was so amazing because my kids got to see that.
Yeah.
And I just feel like you don't know what stuff is going to do, those ripple effects. And I know we're talking fitness here, but I just think that all of these things are connected. One of my core values in my business, the $1 Million Body, is leave people in places better than you found them. Mm-hmm. And I think that if that's your philosophy in life, like you are going to succeed. You are going to be a happy person who feels fulfilled, who wakes up with energy and enthusiasm, and you're just going to be a delight to be around, Yeah.
Well, I love how you talk about, not trying to talk yourself out of it. And I'm sure like there's never been a time where you've gone ahead and done what your gut's telling you to do and had a bad situation. Like who's going to come over and get mad that, oh, you bought dinner, or, hey, you gave them a phone call or send them a quick text message. Worst case, they maybe just don't respond. Right.
Right. And that's totally fine. But like, even when they don't, I still feel like it's making an impact somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'll say this, since again, I've taken your one question and made it extremely verbose. The fifth piece here for me is deep breaths. I'll just take 5 to 10 deep breaths in the morning. And that's my morning routine. Glass of water, 60 seconds of explosive exercise, sending a gratitude text, and then 10 deep breaths. You're out the door in 4 minutes. You feel really good. Everything's moving. Like you've created positive momentum, and momentum is one of the biggest things we can have in business and in fitness.
Absolutely. Well, that brings me to the next question that I really was interested in hearing your take on is about mindset. It's huge in business and in fitness. What language or like self-talk patterns do you see sabotaging people's progress, and how can they shift their state quickly to get things straightened out?
Only a Sith deals in absolutes, Harley. And I feel like that's one of the things I see a lot with people is like, I've never been, I always do. And they talk about themselves in a negative fashion. I've never been good at tracking my calories. I never like exercise. I'm not getting any stronger. I don't, even like, I don't want to get too big, but like, I think we talk ourselves out of being great by putting these labels on ourselves. And right, there's that quote that like, if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. But I think that like, just helping people understand like, okay, you're not good at Bulgarian split squats, my favorite exercise. You're not good at Bulgarian split squats. So that's true. If you're like, I'm not good at these. Okay, that's true. But is it also true that you are getting better at them every time you practice? Yes. So both of these things are true. One of them serves you and one of them doesn't. So which one are you going to focus in on? So I think changing people's self-talk about how they talk about themselves, because most people are so rude to themselves. They wouldn't like, most people would not let other people talk to them the way they talk to themselves. So if we can catch those in the moment, and I loved this as a personal trainer, being in it with somebody face to face, and they're like, I suck at this. And I'm like, you shut your mouth, Barbara. You don't get to talk shit to Barbara.
Yeah.
And so catching people in the moment and forcing them to like reframe and re-say those words is really, really powerful. So if we can instill that idea of just like, we don't talk negatively about ourselves, we talk about ourselves in a positive way, and we always tell the truth about ourselves. So like, number one, that means I'm getting better at this. Every time I practice, I get a little bit better. And then number two is, if we say we're going to do something, we do it. That's one of my core values, is be inevitable. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And it's a little thing. Okay, you said you're going to do 3 walks this week. Oh, well, I didn't have time. But like, you said you were going to do it. So find a way to do it, because most people are liars. Most people are liars to themselves first and foremost. If you can't trust yourself, if you are the type of person who's like, I've done a million different diets and I could never stick to any one of them, then you just believe in your head like, well, this is probably another one of those cases where I'm going to lie to myself or cop out. But once you start creating the idea of like, no, if I say it, my word is my bond and I will do that thing, it creates a level of like intensity and weight. I feel like similar to like how it is with having kids. It's heavy, right? So like, you have that weight on yourself. You say, I'm going to show up at this time and be here, like at this place. I'm going to do 3 walks. I'm going to hit 3 workouts. I'm going to meal prep. I'm going to track calories, whatever it is. I'm going to drink my water. I don't care what it is. It has to be a word is bond situation for you to be successful. And like, you wouldn't tell your client, hey, I'll have the proposal to you on Thursday, and then get it to them on like Friday afternoon and be like, sorry, something came up. A lot of Jack Ryan to watch. Like, we're not going to do that to our clients, but we do it to ourselves all the time. So like, these are the things that I focus on as an online coach. I love personal training. I love being in front of people. I still have a few personal training clients, but a lot of what I do is online. So we're talking about environment, we're talking about stress, we're talking about identity, we're talking about mindset. And these are the things that make the biggest difference. I could tell you all the cool exercises to do, progressions and regressions and different ways to activate your core muscles, but none of that matters if you can't do it for a long term, and you'll never do anything for a long term that is outside of your identity and how you view yourself. I talked to a guy who said I'm the funny fat guy. I always clean plates at the restaurants. And I was like, you're not going to get results until you can change how you view yourself in that arena. And it's true. Like, we can white knuckle for a minute, but we will never act outside of our identity for long term.
I love it. It's like that be, do, have cycle. You got to be something different and believe you are different, and then do those things before you can have those kind of results.
100%.
So as we're wrapping up here, if someone wants to feel better and think clearer, lead stronger in their business, what's one thing you would recommend they do first?
It really depends on where someone is at in the journey. Cause I feel like, if you're just coming off of like not doing anything for your health, by incorporating like a 30-minute walk every single day, first thing in the morning, or by drinking enough water, those two things can provide massive benefits with like being very, very low cost to you. If you're already doing some of those things, then I feel like I'm starting to incorporate some weight training is going to provide massive dividends, especially long-term, allow you to age gracefully. The more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism is, the more tacos you can eat. That's important.
Yes.
And if you already have something like that going on, I think incorporating a fast into your lifestyle can be a great way to create mental clarity, hit the reset button on your body, improve a process called autophagy, which is your natural detoxification and recovery. And then I feel like sleep is another whole situation. If you're not getting enough sleep, everything else gets a lot harder. It's like playing on expert mode. You don't need that.
We'll have to have a whole nother episode talking about sleep. Well, Nate, thank you so much for being on the podcast. If people want to continue the conversation with you, learn more about you, get more of those daily tips that you share, what's the best way for people to connect with you? 2
easy ways. Number one is to find me on Instagram. I put out content every day. I have for the last 506 days now. Go to _ $1 million body. You'll find me. If you just type in $1 million body, you'll probably find me too. I'm the most active $1 million body. The other one hasn't posted since 2012, which I think is a little bit rude, to be honest. And then if you want some help with your nutrition, I put out a cool resource the other day called the Meal Planning Roadmap. Okay. It's a system that my wife and I have perfected over the last 9 years. And I have 24 recipes in it. A lot of them are leftover based, and they teach you how to set up a weekly meal plan. So I have a menu that you put out, you can print, put on your fridge. Then I have little cutouts for each meal that you can stick on there with magnets. So you know what meal you're having, what leftovers you need. So it's this idea of called flex prep, where you cook on a Sunday and you cook on a Wednesday. So you cook twice per week. And then Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or whatever days, whenever you're busy or have kids, soccer practice, etc., you're able to bang out a meal in 10 minutes using what you've already prepped and using some of these simple plug and play meals. So if you want to get that, it's free. batchprepmastery.com will get you there. And then I'll just send it right to your email. So I feel like that is probably one of my greatest tools that I've ever created because it helps take the thought process out of dinner and makes it easy to eat healthy, get on the same page as your partner or whoever's doing the cooking, and then make sure that you have food that your kids are going to like too.
Love it. We'll be sure to make sure we have all of those links in the episode description. So if you're checking this out online, you can hit those links. Well, if you're watching this episode and you got value from it, do one quick thing for us. Hit like and subscribe so you don't miss future strategies to help you scale smarter. And if you know a business owner or colleague who could use this, share the episode with them. It could be exactly what they need right now. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, leave us a quick rating. It helps us reach more leaders just like you. Again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all in the next one.